What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're doing well. We're going to start today with the NBA standings as we head into the All-Star break. This is what the standings look like. Eastern Conference Pistons 40-13. Won the first half for the Detroit Pistons. Really good team. Cade Cunningham has been absolutely incredible. This team is really good defensively, top three in the league. Defensively, they're allowing just 109 points a game. That's an excellent number in today's NBA. That is the second best mark in the entire league. The only two teams that are better defensively in the NBA at the break are the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Boston Celtics. Pistons are rolling 40-13. Boston's 35-19. They're playing some good basketball. Jaylen Brown's had probably the best year of his career. He's taking over as number one option with Jason Tatum injured. Though Tatum might be coming back at some point before the end of the regular season. I think that's why the Vucevic trade was made. Knicks are 35-20, third in the Eastern Conference right now. They finish very strong, win 10 of their final 12 games to end their first half of the season. Got a very good team. You make the trade for Alvarado, got some good depth this year. He's a team that started out really well, then you had a slump for a while, and you've come out of it, and you're playing some really good basketball heading into the break. Beat Philadelphia by 49 in the last game before the break. Thank God. After the overtime loss to Indiana. Needed that win. Cleveland's in fourth. So Cleveland's playing some good basketball. They've won 5 in a row. They started off a little bit slow. They've come on as of late. They've won 5 in a row, 9 of 10. They're 34-21, fourth in the Eastern Conference. Of course, you swapped Darius Garland for James Harden at a trade deadline. The Raptors pick up. They didn't pick up anybody right now. Just Chris Paul. They waived. He's Chris probably over. They're 32-23, fifth in the Eastern Conference. Philadelphia is sixth at 30-24, but they're in a tough spot right now. Paul George is suspended for a while. They traded Jared McCain away for nothing. They're having to play Kyle Lowry at 40 years of age all of a sudden. So they're 30-24, but hanging on to a playoff spot. Magic are the first playing team, 28-25. Orlando's got they're a team. They're probably staring a first-round playoff exit in the face again. That's probably going to lead to a change. It's probably going to get Jamal Mosley fired, to be honest. Miami's at 8th spot in the Eastern Conference at 29-27. They got off to a great start. They've been struggling for a while since. Obviously, a lot of their fans have been upset with no trades at the deadline. Tyler Hero is still hurt. Alvaro Rozier is suspended, whatever you want to call that. So they're obviously in a tough spot, too. Charlotte continues to play some good basketball. They've won 10, lost 11. They are 26-29. They are the 9th seed in the Eastern Conference. Got the Hawks right now, the last playing team. Of course, they're struggling because they kind of returned at the deadline, sending out Trae Young for McCollum and Corey Kispert. And they did a bit of a roster shakeup at the deadline. But they're the last playing team right now. The Bulls have lost 6 in a row and 9 out of 10 heading into the break. Of course, they sold off at the deadline, trading away Ijah for Rob Dillingham and then trading Kobe White to Charlotte and Vucevic to Boston. But, you bring in Simons, Kate Ivey, Colin Sexton. You got a lot of young guards over there. But they're a game and a half out of the play-in. The Bucks, 22-30, are 2 games out of the play-in. Giannis is injured. It's a whole mess over there. Brooklyn is god-awful. They are 15-38. The Pacers are 15-40. They also suck. Obviously, they've had a lot of injuries this year. And the Wizards are 14-39. They're clearly tagging. I don't think AD's going to play this year for them. And Trae Young hasn't played yet. And they just suck. Western Conference, Oklahoma City Thunder, still the best record in basketball at 42-13. They've come down to earth since that historic start, but still a great team. Got the best defensive team in the league for sure. Right now, have the still second ranked offense. It's still a great team. I think Shea is the MVP again this year. Second, though, Spurs have won 6 in a row, 38-16. That is good for the second best record in basketball. Wembanyama is on another level. They just let go of Jeremy Sochan, but Knicks just picked up. We'll see if he can kind of get something going with the Knicks on their bench. But Spurs, only 3.5 games back of the Thunder for the first seed in the West. They beat the Thunder a couple of times this year. Denver's in third at 35-20. They honestly haven't been great since Jokic came back. They've had some injuries this year for sure. They're not a great defensive team, which doesn't help, but they're in third in the West right now, 35-20. Houston's at fourth in the West at 33-20. Minnesota's in fifth at 34-22. Lakers are sixth at 32-21. You saw them rest their whole starting 5. Typical LeBron BS against the Spurs and get clapped. Wembanyama had 37 at the half, finishes with 40. Spurs are the first playing team, only a game out of 6 at 32-23. Golden State's the 8 seed, 29-26. A lot of fans are unhappy right now. Jimmy Butler is out for the season. Right now, obviously, you dumped Kuminga for nothing. Still haven't seen Porzingis yet. Also traded Buddy Hield in that Kuminga trade. Clippers right now are the 9 seed. Overall, been one of the best teams in basketball over the last, probably 2 months or so after that brutal start, but you did sell off at the deadline. And Portland rounds the last playing team and not playing well, but obviously your coach got arrested mid-season. But they're probably going to make the play-in because the first team out right now is Memphis, who is 5 games out of the play-in spot. They're very bad. You trade Jaren Jackson Jr. away at the deadline. John Morant's injured. Dallas, they suck too. Cooper Flag is now hurt. You traded AD to Washington. A lot of injuries. Utah, they suck. They've been tanking, clearly not playing their guys in the fourth quarter. Now Jaren Jackson Jr. is having season-ending knee surgery, so they're cooked. Pelicans 15-41 flat out suck, and the Kings just didn't play 7 guys in their last game. Not sure why they didn't sell off more pieces at the trade deadline. They have lost 14 games in a row. They are 12-44. They are the worst team in basketball, and this team is somehow worse than those Boogie Cousins teams. DeMarcus Cousins is the best player that they've had. He used to be the best player on my team, that version of DeMarcus Cousins. But outside of him, they had nothing. Those teams were still at least competitive. This team has 4 or 5 legitimately good players. It should at least be a 500 team and be in the play-in right now. And they're not. And they're the worst team in basketball. It's just embarrassing what's going on in Sacramento. MLB free agency. Well, we got more introduced than signed. We have a few signings that have happened. Free agency's pretty much done. Spring training is getting ready to start. The Braves signed Jonah Heim, veteran catcher, on a 1-year deal. I'm not really sure why. I mean, he did have a good year 2 years ago in 2023, for sure, with the Texas Rangers in the World Series year. He hit 258, 18 home runs, 95 RBIs, and a 755 OPS. 602 OPS last year has been very bad at the plate. Hit 220 with 13 home runs, 59 RBIs, and 24. Last year, hit just 213, 11 home runs, 43 RBIs. He is a good catcher defensively. However, Atlanta already has Drake Baldwin, who was National Rookie of the Year last year, and Sean Murphy last year. Hit 199, but did have 16 home runs, and is a great defensive catcher. I don't think he's really needed. Maybe he'll be depth, or maybe he's a backup first baseman for Matt Olson. I'm not sure, but Braves brought him in for some depth. The injury bug has hit early. The Toronto Blue Jays have suffered some injuries. Anthony Santander, out there DH, is having shoulder surgery. He's going to miss 5 to 6 months, so you probably won't see him until very late in the season. Not sure why this is just happening now. I'm not sure what happened. His last few years in Baltimore, he was really good. 22, he hit 240, 13 home runs, 89 RBIs, 773 OPS. In 23, he hit 257, 20 home runs, 95 RBIs, 797 OPS. His last year in Baltimore hit 235, 44 home runs, 102 RBIs, 814 OPS. Was very bad last year. Only played 54 games because of injury. Hit just 175 last year of a 565 OPS. Played briefly in the postseason before getting hurt again. It wasn't very effective. And now they won't see him much at all this year. He's going to be 31 years old. They gave him $92.5 million next year, and he is signed through 2029. So that's been a rough deal for them. Shane Bieber is going to miss opening day with an arm injury. Probably pushed it a little bit too far innings-wise, coming off Tommy John late last season. And Bone Francis is a young pitcher who didn't pitch well last year, but still had some hope for him. He's having Tommy John, so he won't pitch this year either. So that's the injury news for Toronto. A few other guys that have gotten hurt. A few guys with the same injury. Francisco Lindor is having surgery for his hamate bone in his hand. Going to miss about 6 weeks, but may still be ready for opening day. Then we got Jackson Holliday, the young second baseman for Baltimore, has the same injury. He's going to miss opening day. He's not been very good his first 2 seasons. He's at just 229 of a 659 OPS his first 2 years. A little bit better last year. Hit 242, 17 home runs, 55 RBIs, but only a 690 OPS, just a 314 on base. It was a butcher at second base defensively, but he was the number 1 prospect in baseball 2 years ago. I think he was the number 1 pick in the draft. And yes, and he still is only going to be 22 years old. So still hope for him. Hopefully he gets healthy soon. Corbin Carroll's going to be not going to be able to play in the World Baseball Classic because of a broken hamate bone. One of the best young players in baseball. Was Rookie of the Year in 2023. 285, 25 pops, 76 ribbies with an 868 OPS, 360 on base. David Downier in 24 hit 231, 22 home runs, 74 RBI. Was better last year, though. Hit 259, 31 home runs, 84 RBIs, 83 OPS. He's led the league in triples 3 years in a row with 10, 14, and 17, respectively, the last 3 years. Last year made his second All-Star team in 3 years. Has been top 6 in MVP 2 times in the last 3 years. Was a Silver Slugger for the first time last year. Only going to be 25. Great center fielder. Hopefully he's ready for opening day for the Diamondbacks' sake, but he's going to be out of the World Baseball Classic. Bruce can replace him. There's a good chance it ends up being Roman Anthony. James Wood could be an option as well. But moving on, a couple more minor signings. The Texas Rangers signed Jordan Montgomery to a 1-year deal. So Montgomery came with the Yankees, had some decent years. His best year was between Texas and St. Louis in the World Series here for Texas. In 32 starts, had a 3.2 ERA, 188 and 2/3. 2024 signed a 1-year deal with Arizona. Was really bad. 25 games, 21 starts. Was moved to the bullpen late in the season. 6.23 ERA. Just 83 strikeouts against 44 walks and 117 innings. And had Tommy John, who didn't pitch last year, but 161 career starts, 403 career ERA. He could be an option for the back end of the rotation for Texas this year. Then we had the Dodgers extending Max Muncy for a year through 2027 for $7 million for club option for 2028. Muncy, a lot of injuries the last 2 years, but when healthy, he's been very good. In 100 games last year, hit 243, 19 home runs, 67 RBIs, 846 OPS, 376 on base. Very underrated defender at third, can play all over the field. Veteran player for the Dodgers, who they extend for at least another year beyond this year. And the Twins are signing Liam Hendriks to a minor league deal. So Hendriks had a really wild career. Came up a starter actually in Minnesota back in 2011. Wasn't very good. Bounced around the league. Was eventually moved to the bullpen and found himself, had a good year in Toronto in 2015. 58 games, had 2.92 ERA. He ended up having a 1.8 ERA in 2019 in Oakland as a closer. 25 saves in 85 innings, 124 strikeouts. In 21 with the White Sox, it's not a big deal. He had a 2.54 ERA in 69 games and had lead in 38 saves, 113 strikeouts against just 11 walks. It's an incredible year. The following year was just as good. 58 games, 2.81 ERA, 37 saves, 85 strikeouts, 16 walks, and 57 2/3. Had not Tommy John. He had actually was diagnosed with cancer very early on in 2023 with the White Sox. It was a really sad story. Missed about 2 years of action. Came back last year, after some injuries with Boston, and eventually came up. Didn't pitch very well. In 13 2/3, he let 11 earned runs, but it's going to be 37. A few years ago, he was one of the elite relievers in the game. Is a really good story, and I'm wishing the best for Liam Hendriks as he reunites with the Minnesota Twins. And 2 more starting pitcher signings. Miles Mikolas into a 1-year deal with the Nationals, a year for $2.25 million. Mikolas going to be 37. He's another guy who's had a kind of a wild career. He started in the bigs in San Diego in 2012, and then was there 2 years and a year in Texas. Wasn't very good. Played in Japan for 3 years. Remade himself. Came back to the bigs in 2018 in St. Louis. Had a fantastic year, an 18-4 in 32 starts with a 2.83 ERA. 200 and 2/3 innings, finished 6th in the Cy Young voting. A bit of a step back in 2019 with St. Louis. 4.16 ERA, 184 innings. Had Tommy John in 2020, so he missed a season. In 21, came back late in the year. Great year in 22 with St. Louis, and 32 starts, 3.29 ERA, 12-13, 202 and a third, which is a career high. Last 3 years hasn't been great. But pitches every 5th day. He's made at least 31 starts 4 years in a row. Last 3 years, his ERA was 4.78, 5.35, and 4.84. But he's still a serviceable back-end starter with Washington Ken Yu, the trading away of Mackenzie Gore. That's how Jake Irvin isn't a whole lot in their rotation. And the Orioles signed Chris Bassett a year for $18.5 million. I think this is a good signing. He had a good year last year. 31 starts, 3.96 ERA, 11-9, 170 in the third. Even at 37, Bassett, so like very good starting pitcher. And Orioles needed him. Be interesting if they can put together a good rotation. You're trying to see if you can get something out of Shane Baz. You got Kyle Bradish there, who's a solid young arm, as is Dean Kremer. Now you add Bassett, who's still a solid starter. They can put together a decent rotation, should have a pretty good bullpen. They're going to hit a hell of a lot. Orioles could be a playoff team. They definitely could bounce back this coming season. So I'm going to start my NFL offseason preview series. I'm going to go division by division and go through why I think each team their needs are and looking at their cap situation and all that. I'm going to start with the AFC East. Going to start with the Super Bowl runner-ups, the New England Patriots. So the Patriots right now are projected to have about $35 million in cap space. They need to focus on the offensive side of the ball. You have a very talented young quarterback in Drake May, who I do think Patriots fans kind of hype him a little bit too much, as Boston sports fans usually do with their young star players. But he is a very good quarterback, and he has a lot of potential in this league. They got to get a better offensive line. But Will Campbell, also after the injury, was very bad in the playoffs. But they got to get better on the offensive line, I think, on the interior. I do like Campbell overall. The right tackle, Moses, is pretty good. But in the interior, I like Owenu at right guard, but the left guard and center, Jared Wilson was just a rookie this past year, and Garrett Bradbury is just meh. I think that can be improved, and they got to get at least one more really good receiver in there. Diggs is going to be 33 years old, not quite the same player, though he is still very solid. Has some legal issues, might be suspended to start next year, you never know. Kyle Williams, a third-round pick last year, he was okay. Pop Douglas is an okay receiver. Keyshawn Boutte is okay. But you got to get a legit, first, second receiver in there to help out Drake May. They got a lot of young talent, especially defensively. Milton Williams in the middle. They have Christian Barmore, Harold Landry. They could probably stand to add another pass rusher as well. But I would. They got a good young team. Got a great coach in Mike Vrabel. So I would look to definitely improve offensively and try and shore up the offensive line and add another really good receiver. And now let's move on to the Buffalo Bills. They had another playoff heartbreak this year, losing in the divisional round to the Denver Broncos. So Josh Allen obviously has to be better. So right now, once they're gonna have some deals they're gonna void, so they are gonna get under the cap. Right now, you're just over $10 million over, but Matt Milano, Joey Bosa, Connor McGovern, Daquan Jones, Espana, and Larry Ogunjobi's deals are all going to void. So they're probably going to have roughly maybe $20 million in cap space or so. They got to get a top-level receiver in there. I would even look, they fired Sean McDermott. They promoted the offensive coordinator, Joe Brady. I think you have to go all in right now. Josh Allen's 30 years old. He's due $56 million next year. Your team's getting older. You got to make a big move. Your top two needs are definitely wide receiver and pass rusher. Greg Rousseau is pretty good, but he needs some help. Espana is a free agent, as is Joey Bosa. I'm not sure if either are coming back. They're going to have to, I would call Philadelphia, see what's going to take to get A.J. Brown. There are two, I think, should be willing to, trade their first-round pick for, A.J. Brown. Give Josh Allen, a number one wide receiver. Allow Shakir to sell into the wide receiver 2 role. Go and get maybe Max Crosby from the Raiders. Get yourself a top-level pass rusher. Allow Greg Rousseau to get one-on-one action on the other side of him all day. But they got to address wide receiver. The receiver room was not very good this year, and pass rusher this coming season. I have a feeling they're going to let go of Dawson Knox. Basically get back up to the end of his point only in the last year of his deal. Dead cap will only be about $7.5 million. They would save almost $10.5 million by cutting him. They already have Dalton Kincaid. No reason to keep Dawson Knox on their roster. He's going to be 30 years old. So that would give him, with the voided contracts, you cut Dawson Knox, that would get you a little bit over $30 million probably in cap space. That's what they're going to have to do. Now let's move on to the Miami Dolphins, who they're in for a rocky offseason. You right now are, even with Zach Wilson's deal voiding, you're going to be about $20 million over the cap, plus Tua, who is supposed to be due $56 million next year. You're going to have a $99 million dead cap if you cut him, which appears to be the plan. Tyreek Hill is due $51 million next year. So he's probably going to be cut. He'll have a $20 million dead cap charge as well. However, you will save over $20 million in cap space by cutting him. I just blows the whole thing up. Bradley Chubb's 30 years old, due $31 million, has 2 years left. Trade him, get some picks back. Nick Fitzpatrick, still very good. He's due almost $19 million. He's 30 years old. He only has one more year left on his deal. Trade him, get some draft picks back, get some salary relief. His team is old, not very good. They're better off just tanking next year and getting a top 5 pick in 2027. And now let's last but very certainly least, the New York Jets. Look, the Jets are going to be armed with a ton of cap space. They're going to be armed with nearly $100 million in cap space, plus they're going to cut Justin Fields, which won't save them a whole lot of money, but there won't be, they won't lose money by any means. The roster obviously needs a lot of work. I mean, I don't think it matters with that abortion of a coaching staff and the abortion of the organization that they are, but I do think that they need to address really the whole team, but defensively, you got to get a legit defensive tackle in there after you trade Quinn Williams to Dallas at the deadline. You have 2 young edge rushers I like in Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald, both were first-round picks recently. Get yourself a legit defensive tackle. Get yourself a solid linebacker next to Jamie Sherwood. I doubt Quincy Williams comes back next year. Get yourself a number 1 corner. A.T. Thomas flashed last year. Brandon Stevens is god-awful. I don't know why they paid that guy the money that they did. Just stuck with him for another year. Obviously, you traded Sauce Gardner away for the draft picks. You're going to need another safety as well. And then need a legit number 2 receiver next to Garrett Wilson. Obviously, quarterback is also a concern, obviously. Tyrod Taylor won't be on the roster next year. Justin Fields won't be on the roster next year. Brady Cook is not an NFL caliber quarterback. I would just sign a veteran. I would not take a quarterback at 2. Sign one of these guys, Malik Willis or Marcus Mariota, Jacoby Brissett. Sign one of these guys for a year and just... They're better off playing 2 games next year, getting Aaron Glenfire and getting a top 3 pick next year. That's honestly their best bet, but they do have to add something to this roster. Let's recap the WWE so far this week. Monday Night Raw started with AJ Lee showing up. Becky Lynch saw this, got annoyed, started cutting her promo. She was interrupted by AJ Lee, which set up a Intercontinental Championship match between the two coming out of the Elimination Chamber. Hopefully this drags out to WrestleMania because this could be a hell of a feud. Then we got the World Tag Team Championship, the Usos against Alpha Academy. The Usos retain. I don't know how you could still support Jey Uso. He is generally the worst wrestler on the roster. He is so freaking terrible. He is atrocious. An absolute train wreck. Now, they should put the titles on Alpha Academy. Liv Morgan cut a promo with Dirty Dom. Stephanie Vaquero was in the ring. She, of course, slaps Dominic Mysterio as it continues to look like Liv will choose Stephanie Vaquero at WrestleMania. We had Elimination Chamber qualifier, triple threat women's match. Rhea Ripley against Lyra Valkyria against Ivy Nile. Rhea picks up the win. Lyra's booking since SummerSlam has been just horrid. Absolutely horrible. She's one of the best wrestlers in the world. Why is she being booked like this? Rhea does not need this win. She does not need to be in the chamber. There's no point. Lyra should have won this match. Then CM Punk was supposed to do an interview with Michael Cole. Finn Balor interrupts saying, I want a world title shot. Pierce comes out, says no. Punk and Roman is set at WrestleMania. Punk does make the match. Pierce eventually gets convinced. Punk does a short promo. In the end, we got CM Punk against Finn Balor at the Elimination Chamber for the World Heavyweight Championship. Maxine Dupree against Natty. No contest. Natty locks him a sharpshooter on the announce table after the match. AJ Lee saves Maxine Dupree, but then is attacked by Becky Lynch. Then we Javon Evans, mystery opponent was the OG El Grande Americano against Ryo and Bravo. Javon and the OG El Grande Americano win their tag team match. Then we had the main event was the Elimination Chamber qualifier for the men's chamber. Penta against LA Knight against Austin Theory. LA Knight wins with the help of the Masked Man, who attacked the Vision once again. Now looking at NXT, we started out with the new NXT champion, Joe Hendry, coming out. He was interrupted by the Vanity Project, who cut a promo with him, set up a match for later on. Then we had Jada Parker against Blake Monroe. ends in a double countout as that feud continues. Then we had Josh Briggs against Eli Knight in the speed tournament. Eli Knight picks up the win. And I think the speed tournament's kind of stupid, honestly. Then Darkstick cuts a promo. Talk about Tony D'Angelo and the tag division, because of course they're the NXT Tag Champions. They ran up to by OTM and Hank and Tank. Which led to a match, and Tony D'Angelo attacked them afterwards. And Color is going to have a match against Tony D next week. And you had Joe Hendry against Jackson Drake. Joe Hendry picks up the win in this one in a solid match. You had Hank and Tank an attack match against Swipe Right, the other half of the Vanity product. The help from Jackson Drake, they pick up the win, and they are now in the now fatal 4-way #1 contenders match for the NXT Tag Titles this coming week. And we had Zaruka against Ren QCC in a women's tag match. Whoever got pinfall would face JC Jane for the NXT Women's Championship, and it ended up being Zaruka getting the pinfall. Of course, Zara was very pissed off about this. So it'll be Zaruka versus JC Jane for the NXT Women's Championship. That's all I got for you guys today. Till next time, so long. Have a great day.